Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Those who are present. Seated. For the roll call, Mrs. Jacobs, are you online?
We could take the masks off.
Okay.
Mrs. Jacobs, are you online?
Yes, I'm present.
Mr. Durnall, are you present?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. And Mr. Tucker and Mr. DeMoss and Mr. Kerr all present in person. Are there any visitor comments? Nope, I don't see any. So we'll move straight into the consent agenda. We have the approval of minutes, the January 4th organizational meeting, the January 19th finance meeting, the January 19th regular board meeting, the January 27th work session. For financial, we have the treasurer's report of January of 2020 or 2021, that is. We have claims. Claims include gross wages from January 1st, January 15th, mini payroll of January 18th and January 29th for total gross wages of $1,833,875.01. We have vouchers, prepays for the month of January. We have regular claims, regular vouchers from February 15th and claims for Forest Hill vouchers for February 16th for a total vouchers of $4,608,233.19 for a grand total of vouchers and payroll of $6,442,108.20. We also have consideration of donations. We have two donations. The first is a $500 donation from Timothy and Kelly Paul for the Student Assistance Fund. And we also have $4,000 from the Mustangs Gridiron Club for 2 scholarships. Then we have personnel, would be personnel, resignations, retirements, non-renewals, leaves, and terminations. The numbering's off a little here. It says C through H, and then personnel appointments and transfers A through N. So do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
I move to accept the consent agenda.
I second.
Moved and seconded. We will do this by roll call. So just yes or no. Mr. Durnall?
Aye.
Mrs. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. DeMoss?
Yes.
Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
And Mr. Kerr is also yes. Consent agenda passes. Now we have the business manager report, so I'll turn it over to Matt Irwin.
All right, you guys have the cash flows there. I know I sent them by email and you have them there in front of you as well for those of you that are here in person. Education fund, we came in right about where we expected things to come in at. As far as our revenue, we did do some cleanup. Our treasurer did some cleanup of some clearing accounts that she finished that up this month. We plan to take those funds, those one-time funds, and make them part of a transfer to rainy day once we move them over to operations. I also wanted to note our February count day, that we ended up being down students from our September count day. We did have a larger group of midterm graduates, and in future years, I know there's legislation being posed right now that would not count against us in future years, which we hope to see that passed. But this count seems like a continuation of what we've seen from our September count. We've accounted for that as far as what I expect our tuition support payments to be up through June. The state reconciles our payments over the months of April through June. And with all that said, if our September account stays steady, we expect to end the year somewhere in the ballpark where we ended 2020 in the education fund. Debt service, we received the tax anticipation warrant that we did the board resolution for back in November of 2020. We got a great rate on that we were very pleased with. And we also made all of our regularly scheduled payments as well. And then in operations, January ended up right in line with previous projections. We ended up switching around January and February's claims costs as our insurance premium that we pay all up front will get moved to February. That's when it will actually hit. And then again, year-end projections have us sitting right in the range of where we want to be to end the year. We want to be right there in that range, and we hope to and plan to be there. So that, you guys have any questions?
Any questions for Sherwood?
Thanks for getting back to me and answering my questions about
Absolutely.
the
Anytime.
funds. Yeah, that you interpreted my rather muddled message well. So thank you.
Anytime.
That, Mr. Onett, that cleanup fund, that's going to, at the next time, be transferred in the rainy day fund?
Yeah, so we'll make it a part of the normal transfer from education to operations. And then once we get ready there in the middle of the year, we'll make that a part of a transfer to rainy day.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any further? Thank you, Mr. Irwin. Our next item is consideration to dispose of surplus technology equipment. Dr. Sanders.
Yeah, so the tech department does this from time to time, where they have gathered a surplus of computers, projectors, and other items that are inoperable. The tech department believes that the cost to organize and transport these items for sale would far exceed the value of the items. So the tech department and I are recommending your approval to dispose of the surplus equipment.
Motion?
I will move approval.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded twice. Any questions or comments?
Routine, yeah.
Anymore? Okay, by roll call, either yes or no, or aye or nay. Mr. Donald,
Yes.
Mrs. Jacobs,
Yes.
Mr. DeMoss,
Yes.
Mr. Tucker,
Yes.
and Mr. Kerr is yes as well. Motion passes. Our next item is consideration to award our construction contracts. We selected bids last month, and so Dr. Sanders, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, I'm asking the board to approve the construction contracts with Building Associates Incorporated for the new administration support services building, and to approve the construction contract with J.C. Ripberger Construction for the EHS pool renovation. As Dana mentioned, the board awarded the bids to both of these companies at our meeting in January. The agreements have been reviewed and approved by Ferguson Law. George Link was supposed to be on here, but he's not. So if you have any questions for George, I will certainly pass those on. So at this time, I recommend approval of these construction contracts.
I'd move approval.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Again, we did accept the bids last month on both of these. They are typical contracts, and they have been reviewed by our legal counsel as well. So any questions or comments? Hearing none, by roll call, Mr. Durno,
Yes.
Mrs. Jacobs,
Yes.
Mr. DeMoss,
Yes.
Mr. Tucker,
Yes.
and Mr. Kerr is yes as well. So motion passes and approving both contracts. Next item is permission for the advertisement of bids for the Innovative Learning Center. Dr. Sanders.
Yes, and if you remember, we discussed the process for taking a project from beginning to end. And so with the Innovative Learning Center, we recently went through the design process, and we shared that information at the work session. And so the next stop is the advertisement of bids. So I've also attached in your board packet the latest version of the floor plan. I'm requesting permission to advertise for bids, and upon the completion of the bidding documents, we anticipate the bid process to take place at the end of February or the first week of March.
I move approval.
I will second.
Do I have a second? Okay, moved and seconded. Any questions or comments on the advertisement of bids for the Innovative Learning Center? Hearing none, by roll call, Mr. Durnall,
Yes.
Mrs. Jacobs,
Yes.
Mr. DeMoss,
Yes.
Mr. Tucker,
Yes.
and Mr. Kerr is yes as well. Motion passes. Our next item is the consideration to approve the revised school board meeting calendar for 2021.
Right, so we've always had our meetings at 7 o'clock. But recent discussion, we had talked about how maybe having it, the regular meetings at 6 o'clock, we might be able to have more public participation, that they wouldn't have to be out as late. And so we're obviously having this meeting at 6 and then wanted your permission to do all future meetings at 6 p.m.
A motion?
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments on the calendar?
Can we arrange not to have the meetings when there's 10 inches of snow on the ground? Just a thought.
Yes. And,
Okay.
And to be honest, with yesterday being President's Day, I made a note to maybe consider taking President's Day off in the future.
Well, and the thing is, though, I guess with the schools being on e-learning,
Today.
when we have a snow day ourselves, we should Zoom. So,
Yeah,
we should
there
do
you
our
go.
e-learning.
See, I already moved to tomorrow. So
Yeah.
today's President's Day.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Was moved and seconded, right?
Yes.
Yes. All right, by roll call, Mr. Durnall,
Yes.
Mrs. Jacobs,
Yes.
Mr. DeMoss,
Yes.
Mr. Tucker,
Yes.
and Mr. Kerr is also yes. So the motion passes. Now we have consideration to approve the revisions to the reopening of our schools plan. Dr. Sanders.
Yes, so the changes that we have made were basically for the next 2 weeks to bring the junior high and high school on to the 4-1 schedule, that being Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. All students would be in school and do the e-learning on Wednesday. To do that as a transition to on March 1st, having everybody in 5 days a week. Also, I shared with the RBB family some of the changes that the Indiana State Health Department communicated to us in terms of contact tracing and a change in the quarantine period. All that information has been shared with the board and with our school community. And so I just bring it to you tonight for approval. Today was supposed to be the first day back, but unfortunately today and tomorrow will be e-learning days because of the weather. And then Wednesday will be an e-learning day also because being part of our plan.
We have a motion.
I move. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
And we're voting that on March 1st, back full time.
We're voting, yes,
That's
we're
the goal.
voting
That's the goal
to
right now.
start with the 4-1 for 2 weeks. And then March 1st, everybody back 5 days.
Okay.
And that is presuming that the trend continues
trend,
as it
right.
is. Yeah.
Yes, there's always that possibility, and we try to share with our families to be prepared in case the data would change and our situation in our community would change, which we certainly hope doesn't happen.
Right.
Very, very excited
Right.
for March 1st to come around and back to 5 days a week. That's going to be awesome.
Yes.
So, any further questions or comments? Roll call vote. Mr. Durnall,
Yes.
Mrs. Jacobs,
Absolutely, yes.
Mr. DeMoss,
Yes.
Mr. Tucker,
Yes.
and Mr. Kerr is also a yes. So that motion passes it as well. And now we have the superintendent's report, Dr. Sanders.
Yes. Because of the 10 inches of snow coming down, I'm not going to take as much time as I had planned, but there's a bill that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention. And then that really got me thinking that I just wanted to make sure the board is aware of all that the Indiana School Boards Association does to support us. And especially in terms of watching what's going on with the Indiana General Assembly. And so the Indiana School Boards Association, they are your voice with the Indiana General Assembly. The ISBA initiates and promotes legislation that is important to K-12 public education. While the legislators are in session, the ISBA provides an in-person representative to be talking with our legislators and promoting those bills that are so important to us. And they also provide a update. So at the bottom of my report here is a link to the Indiana School Boards Association website. And on that website is all kinds of information on what bills are before the General Assembly. It gives a status report on the different bills. It explains the different bills. So it just might be something you might already know about that, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I'm not going to go through all these bills, but just one, and that's House Bill 1005 and Senate Bill 412, School Choice Matters. House Bill 1005 and Senate Bill 412 proposes to create education savings accounts that will give selected parents the ability to withdraw their children from public school, which really is an equivalent to taxpayer-funded debit card loaded with an estimated $5,000 to $7,000 per child. The Indiana Education Scholarship Account Program will take away money from our public schools and distribute those funds to those without oversight and accountability. Also, this bill expands the voucher program and raises the amount of income a family can use public funding to go to a private school. And, our schools, our public schools have been, over the last year, have really worked hard to react and respond to this pandemic. And so we've lost students because of COVID. We have extra expenses. And so now is really not the time to create an opportunity that will take more money away from public schools and potentially more students away from public schools. So the Indiana School Boards Association is opposing this bill as I would support that. It's just not good for public education, and public education is the foundation of our community. And we need to actually be, in my opinion, giving more money towards public schools and not less. So I think it's something we need to make sure that we are aware of what's going on with House Bill 1005 and be able to give our support to public education.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanders. Appreciate that. RBBEA comments, Mr. Yules, or you present?
I'm here. Dr. Sanders, all I have to say is, wow. Appreciate your comments about House Bill 1005. And I've had communication with our members about some of these bills. I could go off the rails about that, but I won't here, of course. So appreciate your support in not supporting those bills. That's all I'll say about that. I think I'll let the English teacher on the board let me know if I'm misusing this word as well. It's kind of the height of irony that we're back all in and yet we're home, Zooming again. But we'll get there eventually. Mother Nature always wins. I don't really have a whole lot of comments. I appreciate Dr. Sanders' support and board support with the letter about prioritizing vaccines for teachers because, as you said, public schools are a major component and essential component in all our communities. Let me know if I am lagging out here because sometimes I get a little glitchy. So vaccines, obviously funding, everything is important because everyone relies, whether they realize it or not, on public schools. So that's really all I have to say. And like I said, I'll be trying to whip up our teachers to engage as well, to send emails to our legislators because they're the ones who are writing these bills. And, at the end of the day, they're the ones who fund us. So we have to make sure they hear our voices. So I hope you heard most of that. I think my connection is less than 100%. That's all I have this evening. This might be the shortest board meeting I've ever attended. I think it's a good idea to appreciate you going to 6 p.m. As long as I'm coming to these, I think that helps because even if they're a little bit longer, people can stay if they need to. And there you go. Have a good session tomorrow, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Yogels.
George Link is on the Zoom meeting if anybody has a question.
Any questions for Mr. Link?
The material that was in the packet was.
Better than how much snow is in Evansville.
You're on mute, George.
I'm sure that was interesting.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move into board member comments, and I'll start with Mr. Durnall.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I want to thank Jerry. I think he made a good call today for closing the school. The back roads were not good, as Angie can tell you, back towards Bean Blossom Township. I want to thank him for all his leadership. I think it's been wonderful how we're going. But also, I want you 3 or 4 or 5 fellows that made it in there tonight, be careful going home because it is bad out. And I want to thank Rick Routon for the Zoom hookup. That's good for me today. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Mrs. Jacobs.
Hi there. I just wanted to say thank you. Again, I always want to thank our donors that help provide stuff for our, school corporation, for our students. That's so appreciated. I wanted to say thanks to Rick as well for allowing us to be able to Zoom tonight because the roads are very treacherous out here where I am. So I appreciate that. And I am looking very forward to my students for sure going back to school full time. It's going to be a good way to end the year, and I hope that we can stay that way. And I think they're looking forward to getting back and seeing their friends and being with their instructors as well. I think that's all I have to say. Everyone, please be very, very safe driving out, and hopefully the kids will be back here in just a few days. Thank you.
Mr. DeMoss.
I am one of the few board members old enough to have qualified for the vaccination at this point, and I got my first round. So I'll be happy when the teachers are able to. I think I'm muted. Yeah, I am. But no, I just, that's the only thing that I worry about is that we do have, the teachers are still vulnerable, and we're not, they need the vaccine as quickly as possible. But I hope everyone, as they come back to the classroom, that they follow protocol and let's get them back in the classroom. But thank you to the donors. Thank you, Dr. Sanders, for the work that you've been doing this week. And thank you, Rick, for getting us set up for this evening. But that's all I've got.
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Yule still on the call.
Yeah, he's on there.
Yes.
Mr. Yule, I'm gonna challenge you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, you need to you do need to get on the rails with HB 1005 and continue to get the ISTA involved. Hopefully they're in partnership with ISBA, because that's, I didn't really enjoy reading that article this week about how that was going to play out possibly. So hopefully the people can voice their opinion and the legislators will listen on that. I want to thank all the parents again for all their flexibility with this COVID and all of our situation. And again, thanks to Mr. Routon for the technology night. I want to reach out and do a shout out to Emily Cox for doing a really nice article on RBB's building projects, upcoming building projects, on the cycle that things are in and so forth. So thank you and be safe this evening.
Thank you very much. To wrap up, the snow days, now being e-learning days, I know that some of the social media, there's people saying, hey, why can't the kids just have a regular snow day? Well, they could, but if they did, then we'd be going to school in June to make up for the snow days. So, while it may not be as fun a snow day as it used to be, surely there's still good times to go out, enough time to go out and play in the snow and have June off. So it's kind of a bonus there, actually. The vaccines, I really wish the state would open up the vaccines to teachers, school personnel. These teachers at the elementary level, they may have 25 different families worth of kids coming into their classroom from, who knows what their families are doing. And at the junior high and high school level, it's literally be hundreds in a given day. So these are indeed frontline workers as well. I mean, I'm not saying anything about all the regular other frontline workers. There's a lot. The teachers are there too. And it's so important to families, for the students to be in school and for them to have access to their teachers in person. But it's also important for a lot of families because of childcare issues and things like that as well. So please, state, release vaccines for our teachers and school personnel. And as several mentioned, support your public schools. Let your voice be heard to the legislature so that we can keep our public schools public and here for your children. Thanks again for those wonderful donations. And with that, you all have a very safe evening, and this meeting is adjourned.